friends. I just want to offer a teacher tip for you today, whether you are homeschooling your children or you are working in the classroom teaching a variety of children. Notice and Note is a great resource to use as you are teaching literary analysis skills. Whether you have very avid readers who just love a good story, or you have students that have really struggled with reading in the past, particularly comprehension, it's really important for all of them to take time to slow down as they read and notice what it is that the author is doing, the moves that the writer is making throughout a story. So literary analysis skills are so important, and as your student is entering middle school and throughout the rest of their secondary curriculum and career in school, they're going to experience a lot of literary analysis in the classroom. And so starting to build those skills can be really difficult, not knowing where to start. And so I find that Notice and Note is a great resource that you can use to help you kind of lay that foundation for more complex and critical thinking, specifically as they get through high school. But in middle school is a great place to start with this. I typically begin with the first three skills and signposts you see here. So contrast and contradictions, and this is where the writer is really making things within the story and the characters that are going to maybe surprise the reader. They're not sure what's going to happen. So they're behaving or thinking differently than you might expect. And so it's important to teach our students to take time to stop and think about that. Why is a character behaving a certain way? Is it unexpected? Those sorts of things. And then for them to think about why. Why would they be doing that? Aha moments are pretty typical. We can kind of think of those when a character is really has that aha moment, considering, something has changed, new information is revealed. And again, wanting our students to stop and take a moment and think about why is that occurring when it is in the story and what new information is revealed. How is that going to change things in the story? Tough questions. A lot of main characters will have these tough questions. I talk with my students about how these are not like, what am I going to eat for dinner, right? But thinking about what is my purpose in life. And those are the tough questions that we see characters expressing, and our students can really learn from those tough questions. Some of them are asking them themselves, and so they can explore answers within those. And so it's really important too to have good literature, because you want literature that's going to promote good thinking and good thoughts and not negative thoughts regarding those sort of tough questions. And so those are important too, like what is it making them wonder about, or what's the character wondering about? Words of the Wiser, this is your sort of wise character, your Gandalf or your Yoda, who's speaking wisdom into the life of the main character. And so we want our students to slow down and to notice, where are those wise characters in the story? And often we'll see that those are characters who are a lot older. And so asking our students to really take a moment and think about those things. Again and again, this really leads into later talking about symbolism, but what are things that repeat themselves in the story? And so those are things we want our students to pay attention to. What's being repeated within the story, and why is it doing that? What lesson is maybe connected to that? What meaning or theme does that kind of connect to? And a memory moment is where the character is thinking back and sort of remembering something before and sort of making those connections. And so we want to have our students really think about those things as well. And why are things being brought up that happened in the past, or why are we remembering, and what impact are those going to have on the story? So typically with these different signposts, I begin with sixth grade, really focusing on the first three: contrast and contradictions, aha moments, and tough questions. Those are easy things for our students to really recognize as they're beginning to read and to consider the literature and the move that the writer is making. And then in seventh grade, I really like to focus on words of the wiser again and again in a memory moment. And so not that we can't go back and talk about the first three, but as I'm sort of aligning things, those are really where I focus. And then in eighth grade, I tend to really hit again on all of those, and hopefully they've received all of them. And then in ninth grade, I also kind of harken back to this as I'm drawing students into deeper, more complex conversations. This is a great way, especially if I have students that haven't been in the curriculum or things that I've worked with before, then it gives me an opportunity to give them something to anchor with. It also is important to teach annotation skills. This is a really important skill in so many different things as they become active readers and learners. But if they don't have time, or you don't have time to really go into annotation skills, just teaching them to use basic flag stickies. And as they're reading, they don't need to stop reading and, think critically about everything that's happening right then and there, but for them to notice it and then just put a sticky And then later in class or in conversation with your child, you can dig deeper into what are those different things that are taking place. Now, the book itself, Notice and Note, has a lot of resources in the back. On my website, you'll see that there's sort of an overview of those, and that's sort of taken from their book. But you can also find some ready-made curriculum that you could use and handouts and things for your students, either in the classroom or for homeschooling on Teachers Pay Teachers. You just type in Notice and Note, a variety of things will pop up and you can kind of work through there. One of the things I also love about Notice and Note is that you can use it with any book. So whether you're reading something from Shakespeare, or you're reading The Golden Goblet, or you're reading Where the Red Fern Grows, these signs and signposts are really important skills that you can use with anything that you're reading. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to make something more complicated than it is. You can teach your student or students these different signposts, and then you can work together as you're going through and trying to notice them, but then talk about them. Why are they there? How does it contribute to the story? What impact does it have on the reader and on the character development? And ultimately, that's going to lead to talks about themes and motifs within the story. So I hope this teacher tip was helpful for you, and that if you're looking for a way to help build analysis skills within your students, that you'll consider checking out Notice and Note.